Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for being here as we're going to take a look at the astrology that's coming up December 4th and 5th as we move through the Gemini full moon energies. The sun is conjunct the Great Attractor, Mars in Sagittarius trines Chiron retrograde in Aries. And we are being supported in intuitively understanding the main messages and best next steps that are guiding you on your path. But I want to start with what's going on directly on the sun, because there is a big geomagnetic storm underway the middle of this week. And it's especially important because as the sun continues to rotate, there are times when these open sunspots are Earth facing, and there are currently two ginormous sunspots that are facing the Earth this week that create powerful CMEs and solar flares that will impact Earth's magnetic field. And these two sunspots are close to each other on the sun, and together they are as big as the sunspot that happened back in 1859 for the Carrington event. Now, if you're not familiar with the Carrington event, it was a huge X-45 class solar flare that greatly impacted the Earth. There's a lot out there on it if you want to look into it. But that's essentially what these two current sunspots are rivaling in their size and potential energy. So that's important to note because these geomagnetic storms that come towards Earth impact us individually. Yes, they can potentially knock out communications, the internet, Bluetooth devices, satellite communications, etc. But on a more personal level, you could really be feeling the energies this week that are hard to identify. And that's just part of the ongoing energies we're going to be feeling as the sun moves through this solar maximum cycle. If you are wiped out for no reason, if you are suddenly energized for no reason, these energies are extreme and they come in unexpectedly. They're hard to track unless you're following them throughout the day, hour by hour, but essentially it's why you could feel that exhaustion set in because your personal electromagnetic energy field is feeling the influence from the sun's very potent energy right now. It's important to hydrate, ground, rest, depersonalize it. Don't think that it's anything you can necessarily control, and to even just monitor your own patterns and habits as these energies continue to be felt and experienced. So they're saying this could be a G2 or G3 geomagnetic storm unfolding Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and is going to amplify the messages of the Gemini Super Full Moon on Thursday, December 4th. The full moon will be exact at 6:14 p.m. Eastern Time and occurring at 13 degrees 4 minutes of Gemini in your chart. Now, a few notable things about this Gemini super full moon is that it is exactly squaring the nodes of fate, where that north node in Pisces is at 13 degrees and the south node in Virgo is at 13 degrees. Also, the sun in Sagittarius is approaching an exact conjunction to the Great Attractor at 14 degrees of Sagittarius. So what we have here are very big energies asking you to turn a page, clear out where you have been and what you have previously chosen in order to voyage into new uncharted territory that your soul is guiding you to. This is a mutable grand cross of energies. Again, at 13 degrees of the mutable signs. The mutable signs can be restless, uncertain, overwhelmed by choices, seeking more information before making a choice, not trusting oneself, and second guessing what you're feeling or desiring. And all of that can be very prominent right now because there is so much mutable energy in the mix. But the secret here is to calm down the mind and to understand how your body is holding very deep guidance that you can trust. And I'm seeing this as the body is syncing up with your intuition. I'm seeing it as this beautiful connection between the solar plexus and the heart chakras connecting right up to the crown chakra, almost bypassing all the mental processing that's very strong during a Gemini full moon. But it's asking you to choose your soul's wisdom and to trust that your body is aligned with that message as well. And so this can be the second guessing because you might be looking at the shoulds, the fear, the perfectionism. That's part of the South Node in Virgo energy where we think, okay, if everything's all in alignment, if everything's exactly straight, then that means this is the path to choose. This is what I'll do. I want to do it right. I want to do it correct. I want to say the most perfect thing. And there can be that self-expectation of getting it right, whatever that looks like, whatever that means. And so the mind is studying, planning, processing the right communication with the perfect punctuation. I mean, it's very easy to go into the mental energy here. But with the sun conjunct the Great Attractor, which is at 14 degrees of Sagittarius, there is a bigger, stronger magnetic pull of energy that you're being drawn to, and you might not know why. And that could be what you're trying to figure out or compartmentalize. But the sun conjunct the Great Attractor happens once a year. And I feel this as part of the karmic turning point in moving into more of the fullness of your soul's messages that aren't fully understand in the moment, but play out over time as the best and highest choice. Now, the Great Attractor is where our Milky Way galaxy is spiraling towards this energy field in a super cluster of energies outside of our galaxy. Basically makes our solar system look like a little piece of rice, a grain of rice. Okay, so that is how big this energy field can be. And it's only when our consciousness connects to it that we really start to tap into what that frequency is guiding you towards. The Great Attractor can intensify something, can make it more extreme. You might feel like I have to do this and I don't know why. I need to say this. I need to go here. It can feel like a bigger force is overpowering your mind. And when I look at this lineup of energy, that is a beautiful gift. That is your divine guidance showing up for you. Are you going to show up for it? Are you going to trust that big message? Because it is leading you towards beautiful synchronicities, more coincidences, wonderful developments here that the mind can't see. And so not only is the Gemini full moon about trusting a bigger message, but it's ruled by Mercury in Scorpio, which has gestation direct after that deep dive and intense retrograde that unfolded throughout November. If you'll recall, Mercury was retrograde November 9th until November 29th, so just until last Saturday. Mercury is stationing direct, which means it's a time to assess what do you need to get caught up on. If something was canceled during Mercury retrograde during November, you might be looking at the calendar and being like, okay, I got to reschedule this now. Or this fell through, so what do I do with the pieces? Do I still want this? Do I still do this, right? It's a time of getting ourselves together and determining what stays and what goes. Now, this Mercury stationing direct in Scorpio has been in a powerful water grand trine that is also activating your intuitive guidance system to drop down out of the mind, drop into the body, connect with what feels true for you, that this Mercury in Scorpio has been requiring you to face, understand, and own. Mercury in Scorpio is the investigator that takes us into new truths, reveals secrets, deceptive practices, things that have been previously hidden. Mercury in Scorpio wants you to see what needs to be seen, what's been operating in the shadows, behind the scenes, what's been covert and manipulated, where the lies have been, where the control narratives have been acting. But now Mercury in Scorpio sees it. And the revelations here are significant because of the trine to Saturn in Pisces, now direct, and Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. You can feel a truth at a deeper level of yourself, and the mind can second guess it, can doubt it, can challenge it. But this Mercury is beautifully supported. Now, keep in mind that Mercury trining Jupiter retrograde in Cancer can take you to past experiences that you are processing now at a deeper level of your being. The interaction with Saturn brings in more maturity and personal responsibility around your path. That Jupiter in Cancer can be your inner child when you were younger, your youth, when you were unconscious, you didn't know, you were innocent and naive, and now you're seeing something in a whole new light. Saturn brings in the elder, the mentor, your own internal parent or adult who is responsible for all of your energy, all of your emotions, which is part of a water grand trine with Saturn. Saturn is saying, I will decide what is best for me now and let go of anything from the past that no longer serves my best and highest good. And here Mercury is giving you the facts and guidance you need in order to see a bigger story about where you came from, what you've been through, perhaps things that your emotional body has been holding. And now there is a sense of what you are clearing out that deeply empowers you, that gives you a whole new sense of being beautifully purged. And I'm feeling it as these new lights coming on internally, like new internal light bulbs of empowerment that you could feel for the first time in your life, depending on how this energy is working with you and your chart. But this is why this particular Gemini full moon is much more than meets the eye. It's actually not as cerebral as we might think because of the squares to the nodes of fate and because of this very powerful water grand trine with Mercury giving you important messages to trust and own. I feel this is part of turning a page, moving away from karmic energies that have kept you held back, small, overly responsible, overly disciplined for things that you're not responsible for. And now there is a new ownership around what you're choosing. And then we feel the pull from the sun conjunct the Great Attractor, opening up your pathway into the future with new guidance, opportunities, and potentials that are beautifully timed here in December. They were not available to you beforehand, and they're taking you into unknown territory. We are meant to venture forward here with the spirit of Sagittarius, that desire to explore, to go into foreign territories, new parts of ourselves, to allow our expansion to be a beautiful affirmation of our ongoing growth, to trust the open road that is also setting you free from old soul contracts, karmic situations, healing lessons, and patterns that you've outgrown. In fact, it brings to mind the Walt Whitman poem, Song of the Open Road. It's a long poem, but it's so beautiful because it's about taking to the open road, feeling healthy and free, the world before me, the long brown path before me, leading wherever I choose. Henceforth, I ask not good fortune. I myself am good fortune. Henceforth, I whimper no more, postpone no more, need nothing. Strong and content, I travel the open road. So that is very Sagittarian, which fits considering we have 4 planets in Sagittarius right now, the Sun, Venus, Mars, and Juno. And you might be feeling that in your spirit, that you're ready for a new choice, a new direction, somewhere you've never been in this lifetime, and that the universe is beautifully beckoning you to trust that inspiration. And so the Gemini full moon is asking you, what do you choose? What is truly best for you? And are you ready to step into this new mindset around your life and unlived new bucket list potentials and adventures. This also signals that we're halfway between eclipses. When the sun squares the nodes of fate, we are halfway between those eclipses in September and the next set of eclipses that are coming in February and March. So you might check in on your journey since September, which felt like a blink of an eye ago. But this is a time to assess, how am I coming along in what I'm clearing, removing, unraveling, which is part of that North Node in Pisces? And am I loving myself more fully and more compassionately because of the release work I'm doing? Now, also, as we clear out this week, we're going to have Mars in Sagittarius trining that Chiron retrograde in Aries at 22 degrees. And this does play into that poem I mentioned, Song of the Open Road, of being able to trust a new direction for yourself, moving ahead, perhaps after something vulnerable, difficult, or painful felt like it was holding you back. This Mars has gusto and is ready to go. In fact, he's already gone because he's on the move in Sagittarius, picks up the pace in the mutable fire energies of exploration and discovery, and wants you to venture into new territory and to trust yourself as you move on this path. And so the trine to Chiron is reinforcing your self-trust to do something new that has your name on it, that feels in alignment with who you're becoming and what you've healed. There is affirmation here of what you've healed, how you've changed and evolved into a more stronger version of self because of the deeper internal work that the Chiron retrograde in Aries has been requiring. And so you could have something arrive that presents itself and you're saying, yes, I want that. I'm going to go for it. I'm ready. I'm healed. I'm different. I am rebirthed. I'm feeling it in my full physical state. And I'm even feeling stronger because of who I've become along the way. Now, I think it's important to put into context here the big journey that this Mars has been on since last year. Now, if you'll recall, last November is when we had the first opposition between Mars and Pluto. And that unfolded over 3 times total into April of this year. And so last November into April 2025, Mars was in this very intense energy with Pluto, which brings out the worst in people, in the shadow. It brings out very dark energies that are dueling and are basically wrestling with each other. Now, Mars is competition, assertiveness, the warrior. Mars goes after what he wants and follows his intention. But those oppositions to Pluto brought up much bigger power dynamics and external forces that he was against. So of course there's healthy competition, right? There's areas of our lives that we know competition exists. Capitalism is an example. Sports, athletics. We know that you venture into some areas and competition is just the name of the game. Of course, it can also exist in various industries, fields, and environments as part of the innate culture. But the dark underbelly of Mars is that there can be a very dedicated long-term attack that is put on someone to take them out. In some industries, there is a small group of people behind the scenes who all create an agreement, who are on the same page to attack the same target over an extended amount of time. Think of it as a pyramid of power, where these are individuals who behind the scenes are all on the same page about we're going to take them down. We are going to eliminate that person. We're going to create a smear campaign of lies, do everything in our power to publicly harm their reputation, their business, and we're going to do it for money. We're going to do it to eliminate them and their business so that we can make money from their audience. Money at all costs, nefarious intentions. Some people are even so evil as they will offer up sacrifices in order to reach a particular outcome or result. And they will do very diabolical deeds to eliminate competition. For them, it's only about money. These people want you to worship them as the best, and they want to maintain a top-down control. Have you seen that in any industries lately? Have you noticed that being more pronounced over the past year? Because this can help with understanding where this Mars is at now. You look at where Mars has been in terms of that opposition to Pluto, which would bring in ongoing psychological warfare, very deceptive practices, an intentional desire to create an emotional collapse or mental breakdown, targeted efforts to do permanent harm, and it could be destruction of some kind at all costs. Now, it could even be in hindsight that this energy is seen. Mercury in Scorpio loves bringing up this information about what's been going on behind the scenes and what's been underway over the course of a number of months. So as Mars is in Sagittarius, the energy of divine justice, freedom, movement, and exploring new goals, Mars has also been deeply changed from this opposition to Pluto. I feel that this Mars is asking you to look at, where are you more of a champion now? How are you a stronger warrior, a more effective leader? How are you stepping in to more of your magical abilities and talents because of how this Mars has been required to evolve over the past year? And do you still believe in divine justice, that the light wins, that the higher frequencies are here? What are you believing in and trusting in yourself that ultimately empowers how you're moving through your life at this time? These energies are all very strong right now. During the Gemini full moon, they're all connected to the bigger messages of this time. And so you might be having some really beautiful breakthroughs and understandings that the universe wants to make sure you're hearing and integrating. I also feel that our energies are very active and alive in the other realms right now. And you might be sensing that too. Like you might be getting clearer messages in your dreams. You might be picking up on new energies that you've never encountered before. There's a lot of multidimensional expansion unfolding at this time. And it could even be hard to place, but maybe it's a heads up. Maybe it's an important insight. Maybe it's worth jotting it down so you don't forget it. Could be more coming through that you are sensing or feeling, and it's very weird. It's very uncertain. You're not sure how to place it, but it could be giving you something important about your journey and your path. So wishing you a very beautiful Gemini full moon. As I mentioned on the Monday podcast, I am moving into a new format. So I'll have another podcast episode for you on Friday that will focus on the weekend astrology. Wishing you a bright Gemini full moon, and I'll see you back here soon.